Hello, friends. This is a science podcast where four friends try and astound and amaze each other with cool science facts. It's called Holy Fucking Science! My name is Ceri Riley, and I'm not Hank Green, but I am the default host because Hank is not here. I'm a script editor and writer on SciShow and on Crash Course Film, and with me I have the rest of the Crash Course Film history team. To my left is Craig Benzine, Wheezy Waiter.
Hello. I host the Crash Course Film History. I hosted Crash Course Government. I do a Wheezy Waiter channel. I have a show called The Good Stuff. And I am Hank Green, actually.
It's good. We have one Hank, at least.
Yeah.
Great. Maybe more.
One confirmed.
In spirit. Yeah.
We are 1/4 Hank now.
Yes.
We'll see where we are by the end. Mm-hmm. I am Nick Jenkins. I'm a senior producer for most things that Hank does now. And director and editor for Crash Course Film History.
I'm Nicole Sweeney, and I am an associate producer for Crash Course and co-director for Crash Course Film History.
And boy, do they direct me.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But he needs it.
I do.
I just do the words.
I try to say them, but I fail often.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't see it.
They make me look good. Yeah.
You don't know that yet.
Well, I don't know yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
You make
First
the
one goes
words
up
look
today.
good.
That's true.
So
Well, by the time this is aired,
Really?
people will know.
Oh, my
have
career
seen
could
it.
be over
Yeah,
by the
that's
time
true.
this is
That's
over.
true. This could be a
Wow.
post-mortem.
we have so much power.
Craig Benzine's career post-mortem
Oh, no.
podcast.
Wow.
Great.
Little did he know the optimism in his eyes while recording this podcast. So, in the spirit of the Crash Course Film team being here, the theme for this episode is movie science. So that's very broad, but I think it's what we decided was science that is in movies that we want to talk about, or science about movies, like the technology that people use to make it, or anything vaguely related to movies, because that's how we pick topics here. And we have to decide who goes first, and sometimes it's like food related, but because it's movie related, maybe the person who either saw a movie most or least recently in theater. I don't know. What was the most
recently?
You want to say most recently goes first?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's definitely not me.
It might be me. Last movie I saw in the theater was, I think it was I just went on a trip to Europe with my wife, and we went to the theater and 3 times while we were there. We saw Moonlight, we saw Logan, and we saw Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was the last one I saw.
Beauty and the Beast was also the last one I saw, but I don't remember what day it was.
Okay, so we definitely have a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I saw it opening day.
Oh, you
I don't
did?
know, whenever
So
it was.
No, I didn't see it opening day.
Okay.
So I saw it more recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Do we want to...
Rogue One for me.
La La Land is the last thing I saw in theaters.
La La Land after Rogue One?
Yes.
But that doesn't make any sense because La La Land was an Academy
Wasn't it?
Award that had to come out last year.
I feel like
I saw it like this was
this
like,
year.
Yeah,
I saw it to this year.
I saw it
think.
after the Oscars.
If it's a Best Picture nominee, it's going to stay in the theater a while.
Yeah.
That's probably.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter anyway. I'm
It
fine to go
doesn't-
last.
yes.
Mine is the most boring. So we'll save the big punch for the end.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out as we go.
We'll make it
I was
interesting.
gonna say, maybe we
True.
go reverse.
Yeah.
We reverse it.
If topics are related, then people can jump. I don't know how Hank manages this. We'll just say words.
That's what he does. He
Yeah.
just says
Yeah.
words. He just says words.
I will try and shepherd us along for a great discussion.
Yeah. You're doing fine. You're doing a great
Oh,
job.
thanks. Good.
So I'm going first.
Yes.
I'm going to talk to you guys about. Do you guys know? I hope you don't know how they achieved weightlessness in Apollo 13.
I do know the
Yeah, I
answer.
figured you'd know.
Yeah.
I do not know.
I do not know.
Get him.
It's amazing how they did it. Just for research, Ron Howard, the director, played Opie in the Andy Griffith Show,
And
and the guy in Happy Days. What's his name? What's his name in Happy Days?
come on.
Opie.
Opie the sequel.
I don't remember who was the character name.
I can't help this at all. Like, I don't know.
It was the Cunningham family.
I don't remember. I didn't watch a lot of Happy Days.
Well, you're in luck because I did in rerun. So.
Well, I met Ron Howard, so there.
You have surpassed me,
But I didn't even know the character name in Happy Days. I'm glad it didn't come up.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, what is it? What's the character name?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh my God!
You gotta close the
Everyone's upset now. So
I think it's Richard Cunningham.
Oh, you don't know for sure.
No, I don't.
Richie, yeah, it's
Richie Cunningham.
Richie, yes. Richie, yes. That's it.
So
Okay.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13, he directed it. He directed many other movies. He's known for his directing more than being Richie Cunningham these days.
That's true.
He just as a test, he wanted to, and to get the actors comfortable with what it would be like to be weightless, they did the Vomit Comet, which is I have it written down here. The KC-135 airplane, they call it, and it's NASA uses it to achieve weightlessness, where it goes up and then it goes down for like 20 seconds. They're weightless and then they go back up. And they just do that over and over again. They tested it, and then after they did that, they're like, you know what? Why don't we just film the movie doing that? So they all the weightless moments, aside from like long dialogue scenes, which they used teeter-totters. They sat on teeter-totters and like moved the camera around and faked being weightless. But a lot of the weightless scenes were shot in one of those airplanes. They built a set. They bolted it down in the airplane. Ron Howard was in there with monitors, and they just, I believe it was, how many times was it? It was 612 times they did this thing and then shot for 20-second increments. Ended up getting 54 minutes of footage over 13 days. So if you watch the movie, there's like these short snippets of like Kevin Bacon like floating across the room and then like sitting down, and that was just the airplane descending.
In like 1 20-second chunk. You could do that one thing.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah. And they had to do it several times because like equipment would like fall and fly all over the place, and that's insane, right?
Yeah. Holy fucking science.
Yeah.
Holy fucking science. It's scientific, right? It's an airplane. It's weightless.
I wouldn't do that.
No, you wouldn't?
No. That sounds like a special
art.
kind of miserable...
Kevin Bacon, all the other actors were kind of on board. Kevin Bacon didn't want to do it, but he did because everyone else did.
I like Kevin Bacon.
Did any of them vomit in the Vomit Comet? Are there anecdotal?
I think they did.
I think Bill Paxton is actually on camera actually vomiting.
Yeah.
I think they actually put it in the movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you otherwise would have faked that.
Yeah.
Because it looked really realistic.
Yeah, and if you go rewatch that movie, it has aged very well because it looks so real. The weightlessness looks so real.
Because they were actually weightless and actually puking.
Yeah.
and actually puking. That was key to selling the realism in that movie.
Yeah.
And like 5 or 6 great actors.
Yeah.
Like so.
Really good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Damn good.
What was the budget on that film?
When did that come out? 96?
I don't know. I didn't know I had to know all this stuff too.
I'm gonna guess.
Craig.
It was mid 90s probably.
Guess between 75 and 100. That's my
Million?
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably. Should I look it up?
Let's look it up and see how close I got.
Okay.
I wonder if you can like rent out the Vomit Comet. Like,
Oh,
is
you
how
can.
expensive
You can.
you can just like, hey, I want to go experience weightlessness.
Yeah, that particular airplane they retired, but you can people.
So what's the hourly rate on
Yeah.
the
Have you seen there's an OK Go video where they
I've seen that. Yeah.
and other YouTubers have done it. I'd like to do it. I think it would be pretty cool. I flew a little like Cessna airplane with the help of a pilot. I flew, but I did fly it for a good portion of it, but then he took over and he's like, okay, let's do this thing now, and he ascended for a while and then shut the engine off and we fell, not for 20 seconds, but for like maybe 5 seconds, and suddenly it's like a huge head rush. It was like, and he thought maybe I would get sick and throw up or something, but we did it twice and I enjoyed it. It was really fun. It Would you guys want to do that?
I briefly was trying to get my pilot's license and I didn't finish it because I had to know a lot of physics and I didn't want to. I didn't want to do
That's
it.
the reason I didn't get mine.
The first time that I went up in the air with the flight instructor, that was like we got up there, the first thing he did was kill the engine. It's 15. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? No.
We actually had an aviation class at my high school. And none of the flying parts bothered me. It was the thing that killed me was calculating for fuel. Mm-hmm. Like that whole process.
That's important.
Yeah.
And
kind of essential.
Yeah, it was very essential. And I just was like, nope, don't like this. Don't like doing this.
The pilot who I flew with later, I did this for The Good Stuff, another show that I do, and so we've interviewed him, and so he became a friend. And so I talked to him later, and he said he had an incident like a weekend before that where it was a really windy day and he was missing the runway and he had to circle around a few times and he was running out of fuel. And he eventually landed. Like, what would have happened if you had ran out of fuel? He was like, I don't know, I guess I would have crashed. Anyway, budget for Apollo 13. Do you see it?
I saw it. I can't do it. I can't guess.
I guess.
No. Whatever Nick said.
Nick.
$62 million. So pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was the year?
Oh, year was I lost 95.
Okay.
95. Yeah.
Social security numbers of the entire crew.
I'm not going to look that up. No. Probably could find it if you dug deep enough.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Don't
do that. No.
No.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think of my science story, guys?
I said holy fucking science.
I echoed that.
Seated.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Seated at that's the goal, is to
Okay.
get somebody to say it.
You won. You won the
Awesome.
game. You can leave now. You're done.
Yeah, you're all done.
Bye.
See you guys. No.
I think my thing was I wasn't as astounded at how they actually did it as much as all of these people were on board for it.
Yeah.
Because that is so outside something I would ever do
But
for a movie.
Yeah, I think I'm astounded that they would go for it. Like they would think that's a good idea. Like, oh, we did it. Let's just do it 600 times and try to make a movie doing this.
Well, it's interesting because this goes into something that's kind of the whole purpose of this is this is a rumor. I don't know if this actually happened, but it's a great little anecdote. And that is when Dustin Hoffman and Sir Laurence Olivier were on the set of Marathon Man together. Mm-hmm. Dustin Hoffman's character had to stay up for hours because he was trying to, stay alive. And so Dustin Hoffman, being a method actor, was staying up for hours. And Sir Laurence Olivier looks at him at one point and says, "Oh, dear Lord, have you ever thought of acting?" This is an interesting thing. When you get into that, it's let's do it for real. It's a movie, though.
Yeah.
So how safe is this? How comfortable are your actors? And that's something that I'm always, you're always balancing.
Yeah, but I don't think you could ever achieve the look of weightlessness like they did without actually doing
Making it weightless, yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
Well, you saw Gravity, right?
I did.
How
I
good was
liked
the
it.
weightlessness in that?
You didn't see Gravity?
No. It looks stressful.
It's a really good movie.
Nicole knows.
It's one of the. Did you see Gravity?
No, she knows that I don't like stressful things.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I saw it. I think it's one of the only movies that I think is worth it for 3D. I saw it in 3D. It was pretty amazing. Because just seeing the little George Clooney floating through space and it was just pretty amazing. But Apollo 13 was better. It was more realistic, obviously, because it was real.
I think we should move on to another topic.
Transition.
Transition. Good. Am I going next?
Go ahead. You're next.
That is the order set by your system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm going to talk about Jurassic Park because
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a biologist by training, besides media things, and so this seemed like the easiest thing to do. And everyone's like, can we really create dinosaurs from DNA preserved in fossils? Because we have found DNA preserved in ancient bone and other proteins and molecules preserved. And the answer's no.
Oh.
I was almost gonna say dinosaurs walk among us right now, but I feel like that would be cheating for holy fucking science because then people would say it. It's not. But we have found multiple things, and scientists have created synthetic life, and scientists have there's like ways that we can recreate the physiology of dinosaurs in real life. So,
But you can't take the
Wait,
DNA.
what do you mean recreate the physiology of dinosaurs?
so all of these will be covered. So for recreate the physiology thing, they've made a bird skull. They took chicken embryos and modified developmental proteins in them. So basically they, like, as we're growing up from an egg to a full-blown organism, there's a bunch of different like protein pathways at work that make sure that our noses grow the way they do and that our hands grow as long as they do and our arms and our bones are structured the way they are. And by turning on and off certain genes, you can make your limbs grow differently. So
I totally knew that.
science.
The guy, the paleontologist who worked on Jurassic Park, what's his name? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know his name.
Because I interviewed him for the good stuff. He lives in Bozeman.
Is it Jack Horner?
Jack Horner, yeah. I went with Michael Aranda he drove me from here to there, and I interviewed him. And he's the guy who's trying to do that. He was explaining how we have genes, or birds have genes, we probably do too, that keep us from growing older stuff that ancestrally we used to have, basically. And you just deny, or you just turn off that protein, and then a bird can grow a dinosaur wing or something, or a pterodactyl wing. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, or like a tail, like a weird tail or something.
And that's what they did with this one. They in 2015, a group of researchers wanted to adjust the genes in the beak region of birds, and so they took chicken embryos and like targeted the genes that they know are involved in beak development, which are basically like fused bones, and they inhibited them so that it looked more like a weird bird-reptile hybrid in fossils. So the bones like split apart, it became more like a snout, and they like never actually hatched the embryos. They just like killed them and then I think like opened up the eggs and like looked at their skull bones, but it looked like halfway between a chicken and a crocodile skull after this.
Holy fucking science.
That's alarming.
Yeah. Like, and so like, and the picture for the article, very misleading because it looked like someone photoshopped together a velociraptor head and a chicken head. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I gotta talk about it. But then like the actual figure from the paper was like, slightly rounded bone, slightly pointier bone. And I was like, okay, well that's more realistic.
It's like being able to tell the difference between a venomous snake and a non-venomous snake. You got to really analyze the skull. Is it pointed?
Yeah, and so we don't know if they'd like grow teeth or anything, but I'm sure there are like different genes you could turn on and off to do that. And then
when are we going to start doing that in humans?
I mean, we have the technology too. That's the scary part. We could genetically modify humans now.
We could grow tails. If we want.
Probably, yeah. All you need to do is like this is bioethics, but like you get your embryo, you go in with CRISPR or some other good gene splicing tool, cut out the normal tailbone, stick in the gene for a tailbone. And you got a baby.
Could I get like a stegosaurus tail? That would be cool.
I don't know. Well, so for that they have to like figure out, like with mammoths right now. So mammoth DNA, it's much more recent than dinosaurs. So it's like a couple 10,000 years, 11,000 years, or at most 100,000 years. And so they can actually find mammoth DNA in bone tissue because they like also lived near the ice where it's all preserved and cold and DNA doesn't degrade as easily naturally. And so like they've reconstructed bits of mammoth genome from that. But the problem with dinosaur DNA is that they lived so long ago in a lot of really temperate areas that they know they can kind of deduce like other biological information from there, like where they had feathers or melanocytes, which is pigment. But DNA is just so fragile that it breaks apart. So any stegosaurus tails will have to like guesstimate based on shape and like whatever paleo artists do to recreate tissues. But we will not be able to like grab DNA from a tail and recreate it. It'll be synthetic. But we've created synthetic cells, we've created synthetic bacteria and yeast from nothing, where just people strung together DNA and made a living cell out of it.
When did that happen?
This is the thing. When you were going over, and you casually said, and they've created synthetic life, I was like, I think you've buried the lead.
Wait, stop.
Wait. Let's go back.
That's
When did this happen?
One of them we covered in a SciShow News last year, so that happened then. But I think that wasn't the first time. They've made synthetic bacterial cells, a minimal genome bacterial cell, and yeast. And so
I just made it.
So I think they based it on the DNA of a current bacteria. And I don't know how much of it was like, because like you can separate base pairs and there's just like, you got your A's, your T's, your G's, and your C's.
Sure.
All your molecules.
Yep.
And there are ways to like just assemble them together, like using the same molecular machinery that's in your body right now. Scientists can link them together in a particular order.
Oh my God.
So
How far are we away from the... realistically, like honestly, how far away do you think we are from just straight up cloning and creating...
Gattaca.
Yeah, and how far away are we from Gattaca?
I mean...
Nicole draws it back to film. Good job.
Yeah, good. That film. I don't know. We have a lot of power right now. So like the difference, bacteria, prokaryotic, they don't have a nucleus, they don't have an organelles, their DNA is just like floating around everywhere. Yeast are eukaryotic, have a nucleus. So that's like a big step towards making human-like cells. We can already, like services like 23andMe, you can tell what you're, like we have enough of a database. Like a lot of DNA stuff is just like, how much do we know? And the problem is there's a lot we know, like we can sequence people's entire genomes, but we don't know what each individual gene does and how they all interact with each other to make a thing. So
But we will know it someday, and that'll be scary.
we will know it someday. We can already like diagnose certain diseases based on DNA and like the likelihood of you passing on a genetic disease and things like that. And so discriminating based on that information might not be too far off, which is kind of scary.
Can we get rid of my asthma or my tree nut allergy? That would be great.
Maybe.
More likely your children?
Yeah,
but
I think
who
you're
cares?
stuck with it.
What?
Yeah.
What good is science?
You gotta
I
like
say that all
cryopreserve
the
yourself.
time. Look, I'm going to give you a bonus holy fucking science because I did not know we were that far along.
Oh yes.
That's
Science is scary. I think they're already like, for like CRISPR, which is the gene genetic modification thing. They're already doing like embryonic cell trials. I don't know if they were approved in the U.S., but I think in the UK and China, scientists are starting to like take embryonic stem cells and genetically modify them, not growing them up into an organism, but they're still like, that's step one of like
Whoa.
figuring out how to use it in humans.
Do you think maybe we're doing it here in secret, some government lab somewhere?
Man, I just doubt it's the government doing it.
Well,
Private research company?
Private
Government's a
research
big-
company would be
yeah,
more.
sure. Oh, yeah. I mean,
I don't have a really high opinion of our government right now. So
sure, but it's a big organization. There could be a faction of it that's
just hidden away somewhere.
yeah.
The Weapon X project.
Yeah.
I was going in a more Orphan Black direction.
The Orphan Black.
That's
yeah,
not a movie, though.
Sure, that's true. That's true. That's true.
No TV show references.
No. We're film history.
Yeah.
That's cool. Holy
Yeah,
fucking
holy
That is
fucking
really
science.
holy
Holy
fucking
fucking
science.
science.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was very loosely related to Jurassic Park.
There.
I mean,
It got us to Gattaca.
that's really,
Yeah.
you're really the one we're counting on to bring the science, to the
science.
science podcast. So
Good.
you know,
Yeah.
you did it.
I did
did
it.
it.
I done did it.
You did it.
Done did it.
And sponsors.
Sponsor.
I am a scientist, not a beer drinker, but there are people drinking beer right now from, I don't even know the
Big
company.
Sky.
Big Sky Brewing Company.
Yeah.
I'm drinking moose drool.
I'm drinking Scapegoat Pale Ale. and it is lovely.
And this is lovely. I had this in Chicago. They had this in Chicago when I lived there, and I drank it.
They're a lot further around than I initially knew. I used to live down the street from their brewery, and that was one of my first chances to develop a friend group in Missoula, and fell in love with one of their ales that was not even, it was seasonal, but it was also like they did it for a couple of years and that was it. And I've just been like depressed ever since.
Oh, wow.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Tell them to
sad.
bring it back. If they're a sponsor, they can strike you a deal.
Pull some strings,
Something.
you know?
Bring it back.
But yeah, good beer, good place to go get beer. They got nice high top tables. Awesome.
Nick, you want to go?
Oh, is it me?
Or do you want to I don't know.
thought
You
it
want to
was
go?
her.
It is supposed to be my turn.
Yeah, go
Is
for
your
it.
turn? My great anxiety was that I was gonna have to go after you. That's like the worst,
Oh, no.
worst possible outcome.
I'm so sorry.
Sarah and all of her actual science knowledge.
Well-
it's
Uh-oh.
generally makes me anxious because I know the least about movies and science of anyone in this room. But you know what would be a really good way to make me not be anxious right now? Porn.
All right.
Good segue.
It's also it's pulled the day together because when we were shooting today, we kept talking about
Pornography
porn.
kept coming up.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the revolution of video and
Yeah, home
how
video.
Home video. But we didn't mention porn.
We didn't.
Although it was a big part
Which
of it.
we all agreed in the room was clearly a great
Yeah.
oversight. But
yeah.
But understood why it was a great oversight.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, continue. Let's
Yeah.
talk porn.
yeah, so I was getting ready for this. I was looking up studies about movies and our brains. This was really interesting to me. And this was like one of the first things I found. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I kept looking, but everything else I found, I was like, it's not as good as the porn one.
Yeah. You're worried you're not going to be interesting? You're talking about porn. Come on.
Well, no, I don't know. I wanted to be more like.
You wanted more math?
I was looking for one with more math.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically looking at like explicit, they had people watch 3 different like videos. So one was just like a nature, kind of like straight up nature documentary type thing. One was porn, but just like foreplay scenes from porn.
Softcore?
Yes, softcore. And then the last thing was like more explicit. And
We call that hardcore.
Yes, yeah. So like actual sex is happening, and just the last one caused the primary visual cortex, which is a region that does the first processing of incoming visual information in the brain. It causes that to like kind of shut down, and so like. Initial reporting on this study was very much like, oh, porn shuts your brain down. But that's not quite what it is. It's more that like your brain can be either like anxious or aroused. And so this is like, it's you're straight up aroused and not anxious, essentially is what it is. And it's like it caused people who came out of the study, like after watching the like explicit porn that turned off this region of the brain, were also like calmer and less anxious. And so,
Calmer than the nature video?
yeah. Because the nature video didn't
Didn't arouse.
Didn't arouse.
Trees don't
So
do
you're
it for
still-
people.
Well, because it's also that like when you're doing something that requires, usually when you're doing something that requires like visual processing, that part of the brain is going to be active. And so like, but porn, apparently not you like retreat into something. You don't really need to watch the details that closely.
Oh, yeah. So it's like it just unlocks something in your own mind rather than what you're actually seeing.
Yes, I guess.
And allows
Maybe.
you to sort
I don't
of
know. That's speculation.
disassociate from reality a little bit and stop being anxious over things.
Interesting.
That's fascinating. Holy fucking
Yeah, I
Holy
knew that. Holy
fucking
fucking
science.
science.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah, that's great.
Like
Yeah.
actually, holy fucking.
Yeah, like literally.
Holy fucking
Holy
Holy
fucking-
fucking
yeah.
science.
Well,
And nature.
holy,
And nature as
holy,
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew.
Holy nature.
Contradictory.
Yeah,
the holy
yeah.
and the fucking.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I guess it depends. It's, you know.
Was there any difference between like male and female, or
This was specifically looking at women.
Oh.
It was heterosexual women, and the porn was like, it was female-friendly porn that they chose specifically for this. But yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if it would be different for dudes.
heterosexual dudes. Yeah, that would be it would be an interesting. I'd love to see more about that research. Honestly, like.
You just want to do the experiment.
I mean, sure.
Just send me the link.
I'll send you a report back in a few days.
All of a sudden, like everyone in the office is just watching porn. It's like, no, I'm just really anxious right now. I just need to calm down. Calm down before getting back to work.
Flaring up.
Yeah.
Research.
Yeah. Well, and also now, like, we're talking about this on like a work. Like this is a work media. This is work media that we're producing here. So like later, all of our coworkers can want to follow up.
Yeah.
On the.
We can conduct a trial in the office. You're a sociologist, right? Like we could do it.
So,
Hank gets back from Europe, walks in. Everybody's watching porn.
Well, no. Some people are watching softcore, some people are watching hardcore, some people are watching nature videos.
What's wrong with the people watching nature videos?
Yeah, what's wrong?
What?
Yeah, why are they choosing
Why
nature?
are they choosing that? They could.
No, it's part of the experiment.
It's part of the experiment.
They have to.
That's what they did in the experiment.
Oh, I always figured it would be timed, so we're all doing it at the same time. So we would all be. So either way, it'd still be weird if we're all watching the
So
same
we
thing.
all go through, and everyone watches nature videos for like 10
I think
minutes.
you guys need to start an email chain and figure out the workflow.
the logistics.
Here. Yeah, the
Yeah,
logistics.
I agree.
Yeah. And when you figure it out, I'll come back. I'll partake.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that's
I think
fair.
it's important for the cross-course film budget that we fly you back from.
We'll follow up Holy Fucking Science.
Right.
I just realized I left out like a rather significant thing. So people who actually like know science and are like listening to this are going to be mad at me. It's like blood flow is a huge factor in this. Like blood supply being diverted from the brain is a big part of why that is happening.
That's really interesting to me. Because
being diverted to other regions.
Yeah.
Other regions.
Well, because like that's how they tell what parts of the brain light up. Like an fMRI scan is all based on blood flow. It's like a huge magnet, and then like your blood has iron in it, and so it flows to different regions of the brain, and they track things based on like very, very small changes in that. So even if like some blood is like bloop, then
And so that's so like watching the nature video, it doesn't like it's still there. Like the blood is still there, like as you're in in that region of the brain.
Yeah.
Whereas with the
Blood doesn't
porn.
flow to, like, see, if I saw trees, blood might flow to my hands because I want to climb the tree. You know?
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, well, all right.
get some itchy fingers to climb that tree.
Gotta climb that tree.
Get your tree fix.
All right, I think, should we move on
good.
to
To Nick.
Is that all you got?
that's all I got.
I had to follow that. That was not cool.
That was fantastic.
Nobody deserves to follow porn. Okay, so this doesn't have anything to do with porn.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it anymore now.
I know. That part of our brains is shut off.
Yeah. But we're all calm and ready to take
listen,
in your
yeah.
information.
Okay. So you guys, specifically you two, I know you haven't done, I don't know if you've ever done anything really with post-production.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little
Okay.
bit.
So
A bit.
if you can, answer this, but you two.
Do my best.
If you're going to do a green screen, you film somebody on a green screen, how do you then remove the green screen now? 2017.
Chroma keying,
Which-
which is, you can do in Adobe Premiere, which that's what I do. There's an effect, and you basically tell it to take the green out of the shot.
Right.
With with a lot of adjustments though. Like you can tell it how many different. You can adjust the tolerance level of green, so you could be like, I want this spectrum of green or this spectrum of green to be taken out, and then like feathering on the edges and all that stuff.
Right, to make it a
The
clean
computer
line.
does some math and says all
Yeah.
the green buy.
Right.
Basically,
That's my
right,
understanding
Yeah.
of.
Basically, you put the image in there into After Effects or into Premiere, and you click on any spot that is green with an eyedropper and say, remove that. Everything that is that color or this spectrum of color is now transparent. And then you replace it with whatever you want, basically. Basically, that's the idea. Now, how did they do that same effect pre-digital?
Whoa.
Can't do it.
Impossible.
It was totally impossible.
Possible.
Lou behind the camera.
I feel like I do know. I did know. I think I forgot. Go on. Tell us.
Lou, How? Do you know
I'm
how?
gonna go with Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins is one of the examples I was going to use. So there were many ways to do it. First, they did just double exposure. Like in the olden days with George Méliès and even Edwin S. Porter with Great Train Robbery, they would just black out sections that they wanted to double expose with something else. So if you had like a window, you would just put a black curtain on it or something, and then you would go back through and only expose for that again, and then you would put those two things together. And so you would have the outside that you filmed somewhere else would be there. And
But they would like literally cut out, wouldn't they? Like,
I think so, yeah.
well, you'd literally cut something to put over the film, right, where you would
block it.
Yeah, to block it.
Yeah, so there were that was double exposure. After a while, that became too cumbersome, so they did stuff where they used just big mats, and they developed optical printers so they could actually project something and film it at the same time with one machine. And then from there, they started realizing, well, crap, we have to do this with color now. So how are we going to do that? And one of the first ways was they just used blue screen because there's very little blue in our skin tones. Like, so that's very easy to cut out, but the way that they had to do it was they would have to shoot the film, and then they would have to take the negative into three parts, basically Technicolor. So Technicolor actually filmed originally on 3 different negatives, red, green, blue. And so they could then split that. They take the blue one, and then they would create an outline of everything that wasn't blue, and then they would reprint that, and then they would composite that onto something else using an optical printer. Mary Poppins, what they actually developed was what they called yellow screen. And it's weird, but it's fascinating. So the guy who developed it came up with the idea that we'll shoot everything on a white screen. And it doesn't matter if you're wearing white clothes. It doesn't matter if your skin's white. It doesn't matter anything about that. Because what they did was they lit that white screen with sulfur vapor lights. Sulfur vapor lights are yellow. They're like what you would see in olden days on street corners. Like they're just very yellow light. And that yellow light sends out a very narrow spectrum that color film can pick up. So what they would do is they would film it with a camera that had a prism in it that was a specially made camera that Disney owned, and they only made one prism.
It's like the Tesseract.
Yes! Yeah. They made one prism, and Disney owned the camera, so Disney would rent it out to people, but it was extraordinarily expensive to do this. But the camera was built from an old Technicolor thing, so they would shoot on one roll where it would pick up all of the stuff that was finely tuned to pick up the footage of the sulfur vapor. Is that right, sulfur? Yes.
Sulfur is yellow. It's bright yellow as a mineral. But I don't know about the light.
I want to make sure I'm not screwing that up.
In the meantime, I'll sing checking notes song.
Sodium vapor, not sulfur.
Good thing I didn't have that.
Not sulfur vapor.
Okay.
That would have smelled.
Yeah.
So anyway, they had one roll of film that was on a take-up that would take just the light that was coming off of the background that was sodium vapor light, and then the rest would be filmed onto regular color. Then they would go and then they would build those together like they did before. You print that, and you take an outline, and then you stack everything until you have a good outline that you can put over something.
So the taking an outline part is
building a mat.
Yeah. So, but what if there's movement? Like, what if
right? So in the olden days, you couldn't have movement, right?
Yeah.
It was just a mat. It was called a static mat.
Yeah.
And so that was the one that would go over a window or something. It never moved, and nobody went in front of it. Traveling mat is what it came to be called when something had to move, whether the mat itself had to move or somebody had to move in front of it, so that there could be something that was cut out. That went on to generate, I think, rotoscoping.
So they would just cut frame by frame, right?
A little bit, but the idea, that's sort of with rotoscoping was more with tracing. It wasn't with cutting as much. And then you distracted me. Anyway, that's fine. It was a good question. So that was what they used for Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And this was held by Disney for a while. And then, I can't remember if it was MGM or somebody else came along and wanted to do Ben-Hur and wanted to develop a new thing. So they developed a new thing mainly because they didn't want to have to rent
The prism.
The prism
Yeah.
thing. So they developed this system that is really complicated. And there's a great website called Film IQ where I found a great report on this. I want to make sure and give them credit because this is really fascinating. To do Ben-Hur, they basically had a 12-step process for one shot of just like, going to film the shot, then we're going to take every color, RGB, we're going to take every color, and then we're going to build a matte from each color. We're going to layer those on top of each other. Then we're going to expose it again. We're going to break them out into colors again, build a matte from each one of those colors, put them on top of whatever the background plate is, and that allowed for a really fine edge for whatever you were green screening, and it traveled and it worked with the actors. All of that, and now all we have to do is take an eyedropper
Yeah.
and go.
Although,
Thanks, After Effects.
is the result like Ben-Hur, the look of it, does it stack up with age? If you look at it, it's like, oh, that's obviously.
I don't know. I think that's a really good question because, like, there are other methods of getting around compositing like that. Part of the thing too, the film stocks have changed since then. So, like, it may look really good. I haven't watched Ben-Hur in a really long time. So,
Because like green screens can easily be screwed up these days.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you can if you don't light it correctly, or if you just sloppy with the adjusting of the fine tuning of the chroma key and stuff. So it's easy to do, but it's also really easy to make it look bad.
yes, it is absolutely. So, and it's it's just an amazing thing that, like, when I was starting to work on building the syllabus for Crash Course, we got to this thing compositing, and it's like, I don't know the history of this, so I had to research it. And in researching it, I was like, the question occurred to me: how did they do this before digital?
Yeah.
Like, this is completely not something I was ever taught. Like, how this worked.
I'm glad we don't have to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Not
this
necessary.
is just not something that, and that the technology that was developed for Ben-Hur really stayed in place until the 90s. So that's like almost 40 years. Like, holy cow.
Holy fucking science.
Holy
Yeah.
fucking science, in fact.
Holy fucking
One
Yeah.
might say.
physics.
One might say
Holy
that.
fucking physics.
Holy fucking
Right,
physics.
right.
Like, this is the part where my brain just, like, ceases to comprehend, like, the amount of like, understanding of optics and understanding of, like, the way light reflects and is processed by technology and goes through lenses and, like, why? How do you calculate? Like, I'm sure you can model all that with math or trial and error, but
and trial and error back then was expensive because of all the film stock.
Right.
Yeah.
especially when you have like 12 different steps in a process.
Yeah.
If you fuck one of them up,
Right.
then
Yeah.
that's no.
Well, like, if you wanted to
good.
test something now, you take one of these cameras, you go into
Yeah.
our green screen,
Yeah.
you shoot it, you take it to your computer. It's a 20-minute process max to figure out if it worked.
And there's no pressure really. Like I grab a camera, I'll shoot whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just shooting my dog in front of the thing. There, great. Okay, now let's take it back and see if it worked. Whereas before, you had to, we got to set up the camera, got to make sure that everything is set up right, and we're going to film on this. Everything's got to be lit properly.
I mean, that's why old movies seem like the bad ones in particular seem very stilted and like slow and robotic because everyone's making sure they're hitting their marks correctly and the light and making sure, because if you screw it up, then that's really expensive.
Yeah. Well, and when something isn't quite right, it's not an easy fix in the old.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't just tweak. You couldn't work with the footage more in post. It's like, we have to start over.
Yeah, I shot on film. I shot for college. I did a black and white film on 16 millimeter. And you shoot it, you don't even get to see the result of it. You just shoot it and hope that it worked, and then you have to put the film in complete darkness. You have to package the film up so it doesn't hit the light, and then you send it off to be digitized or developed and then digitized so that you can see if it worked at all.
Yeah.
There could have been like some mess up with the old camera, and there were mess ups.
Oh, yeah. That kind of method, though, is nice because I think that it instills in you a bit of
Appreciation
Thought.
that the kids don't have.
No, we did
Yeah.
at UM. Our cinematography instructor would say you have to make one film on 16 millimeter,
Yeah.
and then he would handle getting all the film shipped off and everything. But like you had to, because then it makes you think about your shots,
Yeah.
and it makes you think about your exposure and think about like what everything is going to look like. And then if you're wrong, you get to look at it and sort of go, okay, well, what created this that I'm looking at now?
Yep.
And it's a great learning tool. It
Yeah.
is unfortunately becoming a more expensive learning tool.
That's true. It was very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was it. That's all I had.
Did you ever see the like montages of like green screen usage?
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
No.
Like, on TV and movies. There's like there's several on YouTube of like montages of like they'll show the people walking in front of the green screen and they'll slowly piece together what they did. And it's ridiculous how much green screen there is happening on TV that you don't know.
I think Ugly Betty was the one where she's just walking into a phone booth.
Yeah.
And they've reconstructed Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Or like a lawyer walking out of like town hall or city hall or whatever, and it's like entirely green screen. Like she's walking down the stairs and there's people walking. The pillars are just like a pillar of green that she's walking behind, and then it's all built behind her. Like it seems it's becoming more cost effective to recreate something that they could go downtown to shoot now.
Well, because they don't have to get permits.
Yeah, right.
They
Yeah.
build some, like at first it would be more expensive. If you're just doing one movie, it would be more expensive to do it that way. But if you're a network, a TV network, or a production house, where you can rent this space out over and over and over again, all of a sudden this becomes way more cost effective.
Yeah.
I think I saw something recently where costumes now too, especially for like superhero movies, like they're not just motion capturing CG characters like Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings, but like in the Avengers movies, like they're barely wearing costumes. They're not wearing like full-on suits anymore. It's just like
Added
some
later.
dudes standing around with like half an Iron Man.
Especially Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's like in pajamas.
Yeah, just like constantly. And they like, I'm sure there's some practical stuff, but it's just so much simpler to like make a fancy machine.
And
Black Panther, like he was in a lot of that suit, but like the eyes, there's no way for anyone to actually see out of those. So that was all CG, and so when you see them out, there's usually just dots that are just so they can track and make that thing.
And but that's a lot of people sitting at computers for hours working, so that's good, giving people a job. But it doesn't sound like a fun job to me.
No. But I don't know if you love it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I would be very satisfied, honestly, if I were making just a part of Iron Man's suit.
Yeah.
There's a part of that at the end of the day that go, I made that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like a thing that I like definitely consistently like come out like in movies. I'm like, I want to know how I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it though after doing a lot of effects for Wheezy Waiter and stuff, and I think that would have been painstaking. I think some people love that, but I would just be like,
I bet Michael Aranda would love that.
yeah, he probably
That
would.
detail work.
He probably would.
Yeah.
Is that the second time we brought up Michael Aranda in this podcast?
It sure is.
He has
What was
he-
the first time?
He is
The driving out.
Oh, right.
He has a profound
Yes.
effect on our lives, that Michael Aranda. Yeah.
He's also a member of the Crash Course film team.
He is actually. Yeah, he's
not
not
pictured.
represented
Not
here, but
present.
he's
Only
he
got
does
4
soundboard.
spots on the couch.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
He'll be
We
back.
might come back, do another one with Lily, do one with him.
yeah.
Just like Nick,
Gotta do
Nicole, and
more
I.
movie science.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, you and I can take a break, and then
That's true.
Lily and Michael.
I can also like do all the other things about movies and the brain that I didn't pick because they
We
weren't.
can do
'cause
more
they
about
weren't
porn.
Or just do more porn
Yeah,
stuff.
We
just
could just do.
You'll just be the
Holy
porn.
fucking science porn.
porn
Yeah,
Porn
yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't tell them until like the day before. Okay, the topic porn. Go research.
Yeah.
Okay, I
What a
forget.
lovely surprise! And your topic is porn.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool,
Thanks
Nick.
everyone for watching. This has been Holy Fucking Science, and I hope you said Holy Fucking Science along with us. Our sound recorder? I don't know your title.
Engineer.
Sound
Engineer, please.
sound engineer. I have an engineering degree. No, I dropped that. Our sound engineer is Stefan Chin. Our director is Lou Winkler. I've been Ceri Riley.
You have?
Yeah.
What are you still?
No, I'm Hank Green now.
Oh. Okay.
I was Hank Green, and now I'm Craig Benzine.
I'm just Nick.
I'm Nicole. Always.
Good. Holy fucking science.
Holy fucking science! Science!
Oh my god, there's an eagle! Quick!
You want to get it?
No.
Ah!